Hello, everyone. Everybody's rolling in. Just going to give just a second, but we are all so excited about today's presentation. We are so amped about just the content that's going to be presented today. We are just thrilled that everybody wanted to spend their afternoon with us. And so I'm going to get this started just with some introductions at who this panel is. We've got a solid group. A lot of you probably know some of these individuals, but we've got some amazing brands and companies here that have supported the vacation rental industry for years, here to discuss your homeowner acquisition marketing and strategies. So to start it out, we have Kara Kaczmarczyk here from Bluetent. We have Ben Olick from Q4Launch. We have Desiree Garcia from RevMAX and John Slaughter here from RentalGuardian. This is our awesome panel who's going to be diving into some marketing strategies for your homeowner acquisition. And so we are super excited about that. I welcome anybody to throw a Q&A in the chat during this presentation. If you do have a question, we will try to answer them live. And then if not, we will have a Q&A portion at the end of the webinar that will touch on those questions that we weren't able to answer during the presentation. But any questions are welcome. So we are excited, and I'm going to hand it off to Ben and Kara.
Good afternoon, everybody joining on the East Coast side. If you're a West Coast, maybe still kind of edging in on the morning. But we wanted to kind of start this webinar series with those big takeaways that we expect everyone to get from this conversation. So wanted to start with, defining your goals, which is going to be our first piece of the conversation, your digital marketing strategy. So what are you bringing to the table on the digital side, maybe even some on-page or print side as well. Talking through our tech stack with our RevMAX and RentalGuardian teams, and then closing it out with a little bit of that retention strategy piece, right? Because you want to have everybody new come in, but you also want to make sure you're taking care of those people who've been with you for a long time or brand new to your program. So passing it over to Kara to kind of kick us off a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ben. Happy to be here talking to everyone about this. The first piece of the puzzle here that we want to make sure that we address before we just dive right in to our homeowner acquisition strategy is defining the goals. So they could be manifold. You could just be looking to grow your inventory no matter what. Perhaps you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of properties, and you just need to grow. That's a great strategy. You can be effective with that. Perhaps your homeowner acquisition strategy is a little more mature. You have a lot of properties. You really need to be careful with how many more properties and owners you can effectively onboard. So then it's a good opportunity to look at your data. So whether it's a specific type of inventory you're looking to fill in, or maybe it's an area of your destination that you haven't quite penetrated yet, it's really important to take a look at your data to be most effective. So perhaps, if you're looking back, you've sold out of all of your 2-bedroom inventory. So it's a chance to go out there and try to seek that out. Perhaps you have, a couple of units in a specific complex, and you'd really like to gain a foothold into that complex and get more properties. It could also be anything, like maybe we need more private homes and we don't have a lot, anything like that. It's a good idea to take a look at your data. We'll get more into this as we go throughout the presentation, but if you have RevMAX taking a look at something like that, it's a good tool to be able to make those decisions and to see really where those holes are and where those opportunities lie to increase your inventory. Move on to the next one.
Yeah, so kind of with Kara mentioning a lot about what number or what goal you're really striving towards, it's also very important to know who you want to go after, right? Because you have that area of homes, maybe area complex you're looking for, but are you looking for a homeowner who's very savvy and have everything together, know their own individual ways they want their home to be decorated? Do you have your organized customer relations manager where you're going in and seeing who's inquired about your services before? Are you sending that email list to people who are potential homeowners that you're kind of getting in contact with? Do you have any type of current list of primary addresses for people so you can send direct mail, which we'll get into in just a second, or any current homeowners that maybe have some things in common? Maybe they're friends of past guests, maybe they are past guests. So try to find and identify that through your marketing channels, how that's there. And are you utilizing that local connection with realtors of people, maybe you're in the Southeast like I am specifically, and we know there's a lot of investment opportunity down here for a second home. Making sure you're partnering with those realtors who have clients like that, who may want to reach in and go that way as well. And another thing to consider too, right? Everyone on this call is a part of a local staff that has knowledge of their area. So you may be going against the larger competitors like Airbnb and Vrbo and Expedia and Booking.com, all those different ones that go through it. And having that local knowledge helps not only the new homeowner know what they can expect with you there, but also you have that head over everybody else where you can manage that property for them instead of them listing it themselves. So just really going through and making sure you're solidifying that. That's a great selling point as you're going through it, which is something you can absolutely lean into when you think about that direct mail campaign of what you may be able to do and continue to share with those people. Other piece of that's kind of the value prop, right? So we walked through that owner demographic, we walked through, those initial goals, but what really does make you very different? Again, that local piece, right? That comes into play, but what do you bring to the table and how are you articulating that to people? Do you have your branded guidelines? Do you have a defined brand? Maybe kind of starting there, having that conversation with your team internally, but also knowing a little bit about your competitors too. How are you doing things differently? For example, do you charge less commission than your competitor? Is that something that you want to lean into where you could not take inventory from somebody else, but bring that value prop if you know someone's looking for them? Completing that exercise with your team, making sure you're really strong about knowing who you are so you can share that with that particular homeowner that's coming in. Having that data point strategy, whether that's something you have with RevMAX, if that's a service, bringing not only in that revenue management piece, but the owner analytics as well that comes with it. Maybe you have RentalGuardian, who is bringing in some of those awesome features we may have time to speak to toward the end of our presentation. But what are those differentiating value props that you can share with those future homeowners that know you are the best fit for them and they're the best fit for you? So really thinking through that and bringing that to the table and making sure those reservationists as well. So not only your homeowners, but the people interacting with them on a daily, weekly, monthly basis is giving it that most informed feature. So not only does that help the homeowner, but it helps as you market to potential homeowners and even past guests and site visitors coming your way as well. Pass it over. Kara, take us away with the direct mail.
Absolutely. I think that, what we'll find throughout this discussion this afternoon is that it's going to take several touch points to reach that potential homeowner. We'll call it going old school, traditional marketing with direct mailers. It's just one of these touch points that is going to complement the rest of your strategies that you're, employing online. We've had a lot of success in recent years with sending out owner postcards to potential owners to a database that you might have. They can be highly effective if they're done well. So you can see in some of the examples we have here, these are well branded, super crisp, super sharp images, great tools. They're visually pleasing. They're going to catch the attention in someone's mail. They not only have the great imagery, but on the back of it, it clearly and concisely lists your value propositions, those things that you address when you're setting out your goals. We have a client here that actually, makes it super personable with their name, their signature, things like that. They also have a clear call to action. I think we've all seen that QR codes have made a comeback. Adding a QR code to the postcard is going to make it really easy. And God forbid they have to type in, your actual URL. They just hit this QR code and boom, it takes them directly to your property management landing page. These can be, highly effective. You can also include, valuable market performance data provided to you by RevMAX, which we'll get into a little bit later on. I just have a cute or really nice statistic about some of these, postcards that we've sent out. One client, with their series of postcards that they sent out, they received over 200 phone calls and actually were able to onboard over 20 owners. So again, they can be really, really highly effective if they're done well and they're well branded and they complement your online efforts. Certainly.
Yeah, that's a great conversion rate too, Kara, kind of getting those out, that outreach, making sure that lead nurturing's there as well.
Absolutely. So they've gotten the postcard, they've scanned the QR code, and boom, where does it take them? It takes them to your property management landing page. This is a great way to showcase your brand. If it's a well-branded page, it thoughtfully conveys your value propositions in an easily digestible, consumable fashion. Probably when you designed your website several years ago, however long ago, the property management page probably took a backseat to things like the homepage, your search experience, the property details pages. Perhaps we didn't spend as much time on that during the design phase. And in the past couple of years, as homeowner acquisition has become extremely competitive, I think I've worked with about every one of my clients to redesign their property management landing page. They all have really several key elements, again, making them really engaging, not just a wall of text. You've got iconography in there. You've got value propositions that are easy to see, engaging as that user is scrolling through the site. Couple of key points. We want to make sure that contact us form is right at the top. It's only a few fields. It's really easy to fill out. It's not daunting. It's not overwhelming. If I'm on that page and I'm interested in your services, I'm just going to go ahead and fill that out. It's really, really easy. Second key tool to the property management landing page, have a pop-up. If a user has been on the site, on that page for 10, 15 seconds, whatever that might be, they're presented with this pop-up. You can do that in a couple of different ways. Either it's just a, pop in your email address, or you can provide the user with something. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be super salesy. It can be, get a free rental projection. It could also be informative. Enter your email address. We'll download this guide that talks about, 5 top ways to improve your rental income, something that's going to be a tool that they're going to want to give their email address to receive. And then boom, you've got that email address and it's in your funnel and you can continue to market that after they've left the page. The other thing about these property management landing pages, it's a good idea for them to be easy, make them easy to find. Have that property management or partner with us, whatever that phrase might be, as a main navigation item in your navigation. Don't have it buried, 2 or 3 tiers down. I think that's also something that we've seen in recent years. Anything to add there, Ben?
Yeah, and making sure too, when you have that form and those submissions that go through, that whether you're working with a current digital marketing company or kind of doing things on your own, that you're enabling tracking for that in Google Analytics, soon to be GA4, because you want to make sure that you're being able to tangibly mark how many people are subscribing to that list or filling out that form to get that piece of information. So you can go back to your stakeholders, owners, if you are the owner, if you have a board, like anyone that is going to be able to help quantify, you would need that for doing that, having that available to you and measuring that against things that seasonality of when you would expect to onboard people. That's a great time as you're coordinating direct mail. Hey, I know this is going to be that season. Let's pre-plan some of that out so we can send it that way. During that time when people are going to naturally shop for a new property management company, if they're in the market for that, or if they're totally new to it. Kind of just learning that seasonality, and everyone's business is a little bit different. So it always helps bring that data piece back towards those goals that you've set for yourself.
Yep, absolutely.
Kind of along those lines, but not really along those lines, right? We're having the direct mail piece. Someone scans the QR code, they go to the website. Probably everybody on this call has seen, done, or actively doing pay-per-click, Google ads, Bing ads, or Bing ads management. Yes, Bing ads are still very relevant and they do really well for the customers that we have that use them. Just knowing that demographic audience. But as you're building that PPC campaign, whether you're doing that in-house, whether you're doing that with a company or an agency outsourced, make sure that you're including your brand presence in those search terms, right? So having that property management campaign dedicated in that account is going to make a huge difference for growing that lead base, right? So we generally recommend 15 to 20% of that total monthly budget. You want that to go towards your property management ads. One, it's just to increase a little bit of exposure, right? So to Kara's point, they had 200 leads that came through a direct mail, 20% closed. That's a pretty good conversion rate when you think about what that looks like. So even if you were to get 5 leads from your Google Ads campaign, maybe it's $1,500 a month, but you get 1 lead that has a property that values 10, 20 times that amount on an annual recurring revenue piece. You've already made your revenue off that 1 lead by just having that as a part of your program. So really thinking about that allocation of the budget there and knowing that property management keywords can be a little expensive. So you want to keep it small so you can really focus on that vacation rental, driving the traffic to get those bookings and growing your bottom line there as well. Target terms that you know your potential owners are going to look for. If someone is in the market to have a property manager, they are likely going to search for that given property manager's location with vacation rental at the very end, because they want to make sure the company they're signing with is really, really strong on Google search results, on ad search results, and making sure you're very present in that given space. So really being competitive with that there and knowing, hey, my future homeowners are going to act like guests and try to book. So they want to find me in some capacity or the other. Also, retarget those website visitors. So what Kara had with the pop-up that's used on the Bluetent side and some on the Q4Launch side as well, making sure you're getting that list, putting that into your ads and retargeting them effectively. So going through and really tailoring who gets those ads, because you know they're ready when they've converted to be on that list. They are a warm lead. Get that lead nurturing going and close them in as well. Kara, anything you want to add to that?
Yep, absolutely everything that you said. In addition to, you can also retarget simply people that have visited your property management page and do some search retargeting that way. But the email list is also a really effective tool, obviously super targeted. If you have enough email addresses, you can upload those into Google Ads, and then we can retarget to those. If you have the budget, another great tool is doing some display advertising, even though it's probably not going to convert or you won't be able to track conversions that well. I think that's kind of a wow factor for homeowners, and if it tracks them throughout the internet, I think they get that gets them really engaged and jazzed about everything. The other important thing, I know Ben alluded to this, but I have a lot of conversations with homeowners or with clients around homeowner acquisition with PPC with regards to if seasonally, as in that shopping season where homeowners are looking for new management, but it's also potentially is the end of their busy season, they want to pull back on the VR terms. And I kind of caution against that because, to Ben's point, people are also going to be searching your VR terms. So I have some clients that actually like to increase their VR budget in the off season because for that very reason, so that it can stay front of mind to homeowners that could potentially be looking for them, even though they may not convert as well because it's not the high season. But it's just important to understand the seasonality and who's searching when and what your end goal is there for those PPC campaigns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for adding that in, Kara. Those are awesome points, and making sure that's an awesome, well-rounded strategy.
Cool. Yeah. So we've touched on the paid side. The other side also is ranking organically for some of these property management terms. How, what's the best strategy around that? Really is, we'll talk about blogging and social, but just to touch on blogging first, having that relevant content for property management terms on your site is going to obviously help you rank for some of those property management terms. A good effective strategy to do that is to have a specific category within your blog for homeowner acquisition for homeowners, potential homeowners, and have some really good, valuable content in there. Like I said before, it doesn't always have to be salesy, but you're offering them. Have good tips in there. This example right here from Vacation Company, top 5 amenities you must have in your beach property to impress your guests and maximize your revenue. If I'm a potential homeowner or even an existing homeowner, I'm going to click on that. Yeah, I want to, what are the top 5 amenities? That's really interesting information and can be valuable. Once they land on that page, again, love the pop-up. You can deliver a pop-up there that captures their email address for additional information. Again, it's not really a sales pitch, it's another tool, well branded, provides valuable information, but again, gets that email address into your funnel that you can continue to market to them while you're also providing valuable information. I think it's going to be a really effective tool to say, hey, this company really knows what they're doing, and they've got some really valuable content around there. Touching on the social side, obviously we want to target owners where they spend their time online, and for better or worse, a lot of them are on Facebook and Instagram. And if you're serving up your ads to a specific targeted audience, it can be really effective. You don't just want to throw up an owner acquisition ad and just, boom, have it out there on Facebook. We want to be, very targeted and very deliberate about where that ad shows up, not only for effectiveness, but also for budget purposes. So again, you can take those email leads that you have, upload those lists into Facebook, and we can retarget to them. If you're newer in the process and maybe don't have as many leads, but where a lot of your homeowners come from, you can also target geographically. Having a nice, video, that goes through in your Facebook ad, testimonials, things like that. Those are all great drivers to your property management page. Another type of Facebook ad is a lead generation ad, which we talk about, on-platform conversion. And that's an ad where it doesn't send the user to the property management page. It simply just asks them for their, learn more, and ask them for their email address within that ad, so they don't have to leave the platform. And that can also be an effective tool to get email addresses. So yeah, those are some social media blogging, some great tools out there to round out your strategy.
Yeah.
Ben, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I love the point that you made out about the blogging piece with the 5 amenities you must have in your beach home. Like, those are things I think people naturally think about, but it's just putting that idea down on paper, right? And that's another awesome way to show off your brand value and proposition. If you have specific property types that you take on or specific things you look for, and get creative with that type of content you want to put out there, right? Google, of course, looks at the keywords and ranks them accordingly, but it also ranks a little bit on the engagement and time someone spends on the site. So the more you can create that content that's compelling, having a great experience on there and getting creative with some of those topics can really help drive home that you're not exactly what someone's looking for when they're thinking about it. Design tips for your vacation rental home, or in questions to ask your investment property management company, or ask during a real estate conversation. So kind of how to frame those where you're giving them that full total scope. And in addition to some of the Facebook ads, you can also post organically too, where you're in that busy season, you want to have that ad running. But just as a reminder, if you have current guests that may have homeowner friends, or they are homeowners that are looking to put them with a property management company, that organic posting can come up for them as well, and give multiple other touch points too outside of that ad. So having some of that work to put that up initially, and then that paid version that kind of is ongoing and continues from there.
Okay, so we've been talking for the past several slides about capturing leads, getting the email address, getting the email address and the potential homeowner into your sales funnel. So we've done that. We've done that with our property management page, with all of the other tools that we've just talked about. Now what do we do? How do we keep these leads engaged and eventually close them? Timeliness is a huge factor. If someone signs up for, a free rental projection, or they've entered their email address, they've interacted with you in some capacity, make sure you have an auto response. That's a really well-branded email. It's really going to, showcase the quality of service that they can expect if they were to sign on with you. Continuing that conversation, following up again, like I said, in a timely manner. We love, drip campaigns where the lead will get an email every couple of weeks with something specific, either, a tip, or, we can link to those blog posts that we've made, or just really emphasizing, that you're the experts in the local market. Again, I can't express it enough, like something that's well branded and is really going to showcase your company. The other thing to consider is, speaking to the pain points that might be specific to your area. For instance, if you've had, one of the larger national brands come into your area, speak to that, speak to the fact that you're local, that you've been in the area for, X amount of years, that your staff is well rooted, continue to do that and to hone in on that messaging, that you are, better positioned in the market to rent properties because of your, your local expertise. Cannot express that enough. That you're hands-on and you've got the staff on the boots on the ground, so to speak, to take care of that. Again, continuing to follow up, providing value, all throughout that process. I think those are some really effective ways to keep that lead engaged and eventually, bring them on as a new homeowner. I don't know, Ben, if you have anything to add to that.
Absolutely. And Kara, you had mentioned that property analysis piece as that sticking point. So as you're thinking through on property, kind of what those differentiators are for you, you might find there might be different ways that your leads are looking for a new property manager. Maybe you're not sure if they fit your brand. So creating a qualifying sheet for them saying, do you have these certain bits of criteria that work well for us? So maybe they've submitted that property analysis, but you're not quite sure that fits, creating that helpful guide internally so your team can have those conversations. But something else to consider too is, outside of just that, we know investors are becoming a really big part of the property management space, bringing on multiple different kinds of homes into one inventory, shopping around that way. So creating maybe an investment guide for your business that may be able to get to them and reach those particular people and get that sticking point going, and really involving with inventories that are going to bring maybe a lot more than you would expect. So just thinking through your area and what makes the most sense for that primary sticking point, that's going to land really well to help you grow those leads. Now we kind of talked about the digital marketing piece, right? So a lot of different ways you can do it. Also some of that direct mail piece as well. But excited to turn it over to John and Desiree, who are going to take us through that tech stack.
Hey, everybody. So, it's really cool to talk about what products you're using to achieve your goals. At the top of this list, we've got insurance, and then there's revenue management, how to make your marketing efforts measurable, sending regular reporting, and of course, providing a data dashboard for that information to be seen. But first, I'm going to dive into the insurance piece and give you some details about how you can use insurance to be able to provide homeowner acquisition for your business. So when you talk about insurance, the first thing you don't think of is homeowner acquisition, right? I mean, we've had some great content shared today, and I've learned quite a bit. But what I want to talk about is a program that we launched here in December that is called the Fort Fiji Homeowner Protection Program. And basically, this is a program that's going to help you not only protect your existing homeowners with a very robust, comprehensive program, but also be able to market this to your new potential homeowners as a way for you to be an expert in the space and take away those risks that keep people up at night. Like, what happens if there's a fire? What happens if there's a flood? Or if somebody gets injured while they're on my property, what happens? With this program in place, you're able to, as a property manager, be able to secure this for your existing homeowners and potential new homeowners, and use it as a valuable tool to help add more units. And then, of course, we'll cover what HPP benefits are available? And then, of course, how easy is it to implement and how do I activate it for my business? So first, what is the homeowner protection plan? Well, we probably should have called it the property manager protection program, because this program basically places coverage with you as a property manager and then makes your homeowners the additionally insured. So that way, both you and your homeowners are protected. And so what this does is it's going to give you 4 valuable comprehensive benefits that are going to be able to take care of those risks that occur when you bring a stranger from the internet basically into one of your homes to be able to have and rent them that home. First and foremost, contents damage protection. What happens if somebody causes damage to one of my chairs, tables, lamps, TVs, etc.? How can I protect myself for that kind of damage? And then, of course, let's talk about some of the larger damage, which is real property protection, basically the structure of the home that can go against fires and floods and things of that nature. And then personal injury liability protection. What happens if 6 months after a vacation renter leaves, you receive a demand letter for $100,000 for an injury that they sustained while on property? You may or may not even know that they were injured, depending if they communicated correctly. But when that demand letter comes, what are you going to do and how are you going to handle it? And then, of course, bed bug protection. I always started getting a little itchy when I talk about bed bugs, but this is a real problem. And even though you might not have bed bugs organically in your where you're located, but what happens if a guest brings them to you and now you have to fight a bed bug situation? How are you going to protect your business as well as your reputation when something like that occurs? And then, of course, it's becoming a really big deal. As a matter of fact, I had a call yesterday from New Jersey of a new rule that's been in place about having liability protection. And, you know, in order to have that personal injury liability protection in there is great, but who are you exactly renting your homes to? Are they going to cause you a problem? A lot of times you can flush out those types of issues before the guest even takes possession of the property in a rental by having some sort of ID verification and guest screening program in place. And with this new program that we brought to market, you're able to add that valuable benefit as well. So what is the added value to your existing homeowners? Well, first and foremost, this is going to cover the risks and exposures that basically arrive out of vacation rental activities. Those can be, obviously, like we talked about, somebody breaks something or spills something or causes damage to the contents of the unit. Or let's say they cause a much larger situation with a fire or something of that nature. How are you going to handle those types of things? Many people think that a traditional homeowner's policy is going to cover them for these kinds of activities. And many times, at a high percentage of the time, a traditional homeowner's policy will not cover those types of risks. And so what happens in that situation? Well, the first thing you don't want to do as a property manager is get in the business of trying to evaluate whether a homeowner's policy is going to work for your situation in the rental space or not. So with a program like this, you can basically bring this to the table, add it in as a standard surcharge, and know that from the time the guest checks in to the time the guest checks out, that you have that valuable coverage in place. And of course, like I said, it covers the small damages all the way up to the much larger damages, all the way up until, for instance, like the structure or the liability, up to $1 million of coverage. And it's also going to protect against those injuries that occur. Let's say somebody got stung by a jellyfish and say they have to go to the urgent care and they now have a doctor's bill and things of that nature. It'll protect against the small things as well and give you a very easy way to be able to handle those things, keep your guests happy, but also not have blowback on your homeowners because you've got this valuable coverage in place. And like I said, it includes bed bug remediation and loss of rental income after a 72-hour wait period. And basically what that does is to say if it takes longer than that, you're able to recoup some of that revenue from the next rental that's going to be impacted, to be able to have that go towards your lost income and protect you that way.
Hey, John, we've got a question. Someone wants to know if there's a homeowner communication sheet that they can use for marketing purposes.
What a great question. That's exactly what we're going to cover right here. And, a lot of times when you're part of a program like this, how you're going to be able to provide the valuable information when you're in a presentation to one of these homeowners. What we've done is we've created a customizable brochure to be able to have your logo, but our content as well as your color scheme, to be able to send that to you and then include that in your tool belt when you're there having a discussion with your potential homeowners for using a program like this. And it's going to answer the basic questions and give you the information that you need to be able to deliver to those homeowners to answer their questions. But many times, homeowners will have deeper dive questions that as a non-licensed entity, you should not ever take part in. And so what we've done is we have myself and our other team members who are licensed property and casualty agents in all 50 states that we can then jump on a call, answer those questions, or provide additional information about the policy to be able to have those homeowners be able to feel comfortable that the program you're delivering is going to be a valuable benefit to them, and also give them incentive to join your program for your management services. So when you take it all into account, you're able to basically promote this program, deliver the information, and then have that be a valuable part of your presentation materials when you're trying to win a new homeowner.
We have another question for you, John.
All right.
Mike wants to know, what's the cost?
That is a great question. So we've priced this program a few different ways. We've got it on a per night basis, and we've got it on a per stay basis, which would be 1 to 30 days. And so rather than dive into the costs, I'd rather tell you those individually. But what I will tell you is that a situation that occurred just recently that happened real life about 3 weeks ago. I was on the phone and the person was very interested in this program. They were using a competing comprehensive program and they were being charged $50 per stay, basically 1 to 29 nights, I think it was, or something like that. And they were getting $10,000 in contents damage, $100,000 in real property, $100,000 in liability, and no bed bug. And so that would be similar to the silver program, except this silver program is $300,000 in real property protection and $300,000 in liability. So I never like to say that one program is better than another, because this competing program is a very good program and it will provide the benefits that it promises. But when you're looking at the amounts, this one, ours, was a bit more robust, is what I'll say. Had additional coverages that they didn't provide and higher limits on the real property and liability. And I will tell you that from that $50, we came in at $36 and we're able to save them $14 per booking. This particular client had 1,000 bookings or so-ish that they were doing per year. So with the flip of a switch and activating our program and leaving the other one, they were basically able to save themselves $14,000 to their bottom line. So pretty cool. I was excited, they were excited, and they were like, well, what's the catch? I'm like, well, the only thing you have to do is basically start the program, give us a little bit of information, go through a brief training in order to be able to learn how to file claims via the RentalGuardian dashboard, which is a quick 4-step process where you're able to simply just provide a little bit of information and click submit, and we do the rest for your claims. And they were good to go, and they've got started, and everything's great. So we believe that we'll be able to potentially save you some money depending which level you use. So rather than dive into the actual amounts, let's say that there's savings to be had, and if you're interested, give us a shout and we'll tell you how much.
Seems like a no-brainer, John. That's awesome.
It's funny, at the end of our conversations, many times people are like, what's the catch? I'm like, well, there really isn't one. We've told you everything, and it's kind of a no-brainer. They're like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. How do I get started? And then we take 5 minutes of their time to fill out an activation form and we go from there. So these different levels, though, can tell you or show you actually how robust this plan can be. When you're talking about $25,000 of contents damage, that's quite a bit of contents damage. But if you have a beach home on the coast of North Carolina or anywhere that is $4 or $5 million worth of vacation value in regards to the cost of the home, you might, those people are not looking for lower limits. They want to be, feeling comfortable that you've got something that you can provide to them or they can get access to that is in alignment with the value of their home. And so with a program like this and our Platinum program, with $25,000 of contents damage, $1 million of real property protection, $1 million of host and homeowner liability, and of course the bed bug coverage, you've really got one of the most robust comprehensive programs and one of the most affordable programs that you can look at in the space today. And we're super excited to be able to bring this to you. It's something that we created this December, and it's been super popular with folks that are just like, how can I get started? And then of course you can see the other levels, the gold and the silver, and then the bronze has no real property or liability. But for 10K of contents damage and 3K of bed bug, it still is a valuable program for those that want to try and keep costs very low, but at the same time provide more of a robust coverage than our typical $1,500 or $3,000 or $5,000 damage protection programs.
Awesome. Yeah, John, walking us through the dollars, which Desiree is about to do as well on the revenue management side. So, Des, take it away.
Perfect. Thanks everyone for hanging with us as we wrap this up here. So when it comes to revenue management, right, what products are you using to achieve your goals? And a lot of times, a lot of property management companies will use RevMAX, for example, as clout into the industry, right? First of all, you need a full revenue management system. So having that ability to have full flexibility and functionality all in one place, and then have that complemented by a team of professional revenue managers with proven success, right? It allows the PMs to go to owners and say, this is, our marketing strategy. This is how you're going to be found in the marketplace. And not only in addition to that, we have this direct affiliation or use these consultants or have this system, right, to be able to maximize the revenue. Because yes, everybody can go and price their product and everybody can have a tool or a bot that does it for you. But to know that you have access to a team of professional revenue managers who do this as their trade can really help move the needle when owners are comparing different PMs in the industry. And then in addition to that, right, we talked about getting into the marketplace on Google and through your website, but then how do you also differentiate the inventory once they come onto your program, right? How are you getting into the marketplace now from a distribution perspective? How are you on the shelves? And then of course, you got to show the results, right? The data speaks. You want to highlight your success. And so let's dive into a little bit of each of one of these pieces. So first, a revenue management system, right? Like, what is RevMAX? It's not a pricing tool. You have a pricing functionality, absolutely, but ultimately you have a system that's going to be able to do 90% of the heavy lifting for you. And this is the vacation rental industry. So everybody has a different scenario. Everyone's going to manage their inventory differently. Every owner is going to have different strategies that they want to deploy, or certain rules or restrictions based upon HOAs or cities or just owner preferences, right? RevMAX gives you the flexibility to combine all of that under one platform. Not only are you managing price in the system, you're also controlling availability. You're getting all of your portfolio analytics in one place, as well as owner analytics. And that's where it's really important. You want to make sure that as you're growing your inventory, that it is making sense for every owner within your platform, within your program. You also want to make sure that you have the ability to benchmark against the marketplace and like product. And then of course, every owner is going to say, well, what can you do for me? Or why jumping onto your ship is going to give me more revenue. And here you have quick, easy buttons to do market performance. You can do that through just 2 clicks of a button through RevMAX. Ultimately, it is a text system designed to give you output immediately and let the bot do the data digging and tell you best practice on what you should be looking for. You can go to the next one. Cool. So once you have the system, right, how do you get into the marketplace? So how do you maximize your exposure and get in front of customers? So ultimately, what we saw this past year is supply grew, right? So that means that not only on Airbnb and Vrbo, where you had your listing Now with supply growing, everybody has their listings on those platforms as well. So what that has done is it's created an environment where now the user has to be a little bit more competitive in getting their inventory in front of customers. For the last few years, we've had a lot of artificial demand coming in. It's been excess, it's been compressed. So now supply has grown, demand has lessened. How do you maintain that exposure of all this new product, right, that you just acquired? So that's where you really have to look at what partners and what distribution do you have access to? And that kind of ties back into a great PMS and having direct distribution and ability into getting in front of these channels and getting partnered with them, right? Like, for example, Marriott Homes and Villas. So that's going to get you direct exposure to 150 million members worldwide. That's going to be a little bit better or more exposure than an Airbnb or a Vrbo listing. It's also going to give you a different customer as well. And so throughout the presentation, the team talked about, right, who's your market, who's your audience? Is it investors? Is it direct owners, right? If you have this investor and they're part of the Marriott brand and the Bonvoy member, they're going to want to see their inventory on those sites, right? And how do you get that? And it kind of, again, it goes back to that street cred, right? Because you are now branded and partnered with Marriott, and they don't just take everybody. So you have to be an exclusive listing on that channel and to have that partnership with them. Same thing with Hopper, right? Getting a direct connect with Hopper. I don't know if many of you guys know this, but Hopper powers Capital One's travel site. So that means that now not only are you on Marriott with 150 million customers and exposure to that, now you're in front of another niche market of Capital One users. What's interesting about this group is that they travel 11 times a year. So what does that mean? A lot of us are barely trying to get one customer to come back once a year, but now you're going to be directly in front of people who go 11 times a year. And for those who have different product and different destinations, this is a great way to keep that same customer coming back to you over and over again. And in addition to that, the annual income for these users is 170,000. So a lot of those folks that just said on the polls, hey, I want all these luxury listings, you also need a luxury customer in order to afford those luxury listings. So all of this kind of swings into each other, right? And there's no reason not to be in the marketplace if you are not sold out 100% of the time. There's no reason why we can tell the owners, hey, I'm not going to list on this channel of distribution and be on the shelves because you're wide open, right? That doesn't make sense. So in the peak season, right, you don't need all of the extra exposure necessarily because you're going to organically fill that. You have a great campaign, etc. However, in the off season and the shoulder season is where you want to make sure the product is on the shelves. And in addition to that, what is the number one thing that drives price? We all know it's demand. So the more demand you have, then during your peak season, the more you have an opportunity to increase price. So this is a big cycle and it all plays together in a revenue management strategy overall, which is why this is very important because you have to market and you have to get on the shelves, and that's ultimately what's going to decide your price. And then of course, right, you have to know if it's working. How do you know if it's working or if it's not working? You cannot manage what you cannot measure. And part of the RevMAX system is you get all the data right at your fingertips. And everybody on here talked about postcards and sending out collateral to owners, and many of you guys already do. But are you showing them the position? Are you showing them the data? And are you showing and communicating to your owners what counts? And even potentially new owners, right? They want to be on a winning team. They want to know that if I'm branded with you or I'm in your portfolio, when I go to Google, I find you. When I'm on Capital One and I'm looking at travel sites, I find you. When I'm on booking.com and trying to bundle with my flight and going to get a rental car, that I find you, right? So with that as well, you want to be able to also show them the stats of how you outperform the competition. And we do that through RevMAX. We give you the owner data, we give you the analytics, great snippets, so you can just drop into custom custom postcards, which we do again with any partner here on the call. Also giving pro formas, right? There's two kinds of pro formas out in the industry right now. There's assumptive pro formas and there's transactional. So assumptive is when you have a listing and you're looking at 10 listings, so to speak, and you're shopping them and you say, okay, today I see that this one house sold for a week. I don't know what it sold for. I know it was priced for $100, but now I'm showing that it's no longer available. So I'm going to assume that it sold for that week for $100, right? But I don't know 100%. So let's just say that house was 25% occupied with an ADR of $100. Great. And you can run those general stats, but you don't know truly what happened. You don't know if it was an owner stay. You don't know if it was booked with the coupon. You don't know if they even stayed 3 nights and then it was just blocked for the next 4 or whatever the case may be. So that's why it's called assumptive data. And that's 90% of what the pro formas are in the marketplace today. Then you have the other side of that, which is transactional data. Transactional data is when you get market statistics based upon the actual transactions that happen within a group of homes. So you don't get to know exactly what house is doing what, because there is that proprietary, but you will get an average blend of, hey, we do know that these houses sold for $95, even though it was priced at $200, right? They called in, they got a deal or whatever the case may be. They had a repeat coupon or whatever. We know that this unit was sold every weekend or not available every weekend in October, not because they had fall demand, because the owner came in or we were doing work and it was maintenance blocks, right? So you get a little bit of a different story once you get the transactional information. Through RevMAX, we provide both sides of those coins. And then of course, your owner analytics. You want a great way to show the owner how well they're doing once you've gotten them in-house, or showing them again how everybody else is doing, and they could also get those same results if they join your team.
Thank you, Desiree. We've had a few people pop in and just ask about how they can access RevMAX. So where is RevMAX available?
So if you want to actually, like, which PMS or what, I'm sorry, what's the question?
Yeah.
So today RevMAX is available through Streamline, through VRM. If you are on the iTrip platform, we're also available there as well.
That was another one of the questions is someone asked, are all these features available to iTrip franchisees or not? So
yes, yes, 90% of what we covered today is available to the iTrip franchisees.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Des. That's a lot of awesome information. And speaking as a Capital One cardholder, that is how I booked one of my most recent trips. So it's funny kind of making that connection there that you had mentioned about bringing that there as well. And bringing on that data piece is so important and a great way to talk about retaining your homeowners. So Carrie, you want to take us away with some of those strategies maybe we've talked about before, but some other ways we want to keep doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I love having this conversation with my clients is, just having, a discussion over how they're maintaining the relationship with their existing homeowners, because we've, talked for 53 minutes about acquiring new ones, but it's also extremely important to retain your existing homeowners. And how are you doing that? What are the strategies that you're employing to do that? One of the ones that I really like to hone in on and discuss with my clients is, sending out regular and consistent communications to your existing homeowners that showcases everything that you're doing, that really kind of just, brags about yourself, your company, and the things that you're doing, both from a data perspective. So pulling in a lot of that revenue management stuff, the things that you're offering with your travel insurance and things like that from RentalGuardian, those types of things, like, hey, these are the programs that we have in place. But also, just showcasing, that what you're doing in your community, highlighting local, your staff that work for you, so that they can really start to realize that they're with a solid company that has, roots in the community, and then also offers all these tools. And basically it's, as the homeowners reading, they're like, yeah, yep, Okay, yeah, and they're really satisfied with the service that they're getting and the company that they're with, and they're not going to, go shopping and go looking for other management because you're telling them, how great you are and that they're happy there. If you're not communicating that, then it's going to, like, hey, raise some questions like, what has my rental agency done for me lately type thing. So you want to be able to proactively answer that question so that they don't have to ask it and they're not enticed to look elsewhere. They remain happy where they are, and employing all of these different strategies and benefits that you have in your program, and reminding them. You may have said it when you onboarded them, but continue to remind them and be consistent in that messaging is the key there.
Yeah, and Kara, to your point too, I know some of the vacation rental managers I talk to, they always like to pick some of those homes that they want to showcase on their website. And that's a great additional way to make those homeowners feel good. Swapping out some of your vacation rental properties you're featuring, what photos are you using? Maybe it's from one of theirs, and just visually makes them feel good without that data piece even being a factor at that point, because they're able to kind of see their home and be proud that it's there to be shown on that website.
Yep, absolutely. Good stuff.
So now we are in our Q&A section. So there are a few questions that have rolled in that we can cover now. If anybody else has any more questions that they would like for us to cover, we are happy to do that. I'm going to give everybody a moment to pop their questions in there, but we did have an offer that RentalGuardian, since there was so much request and information about the offerings that John went over for the homeowner protection plan, I wanted to give him an opportunity to also talk about a product that's a free product to use. There's not any huge changes that you need to make to your current system, but it's a great opportunity for growth for profits. And so I know we're talking about growth with homeowner acquisition marketing here, but we didn't want to forget that, just pure profit growth. I wanted to give John that spotlight. And then as soon as John wraps up, we will answer some of these questions that have popped in on the Q&A.
Drum roll, please. Take it away.
Well, let's talk about Project Second Look, or what we call PSL. Travel insurance is a big part of a vacation rental, and the reason why is because many, obviously, vacation rentals have a cancellation clause that when a guest has to cancel, there ensues an awkward conversation that occurs between the property manager and the guest about, can I get my money back? And unfortunately, even if they had a hardship or a terrible situation happen to them, or maybe they just got sick or lost their job or whatever the case might be, when you have to stand firm on that cancellation policy and there's no travel insurance in place to be able to reimburse that guest, that's a big deal, because now you or your staff have to have these terrible, awkward conversations about, I'm sorry that you lost your job, but I also, based on the information, and we have to keep your money that you paid to us. That's just not an easy conversation to have. And so we created Project Second Look as a way to not only help managers market travel insurance, but to get and take advantage of literally the 75% or so of vacation rental guests that are never marketed to after they make a direct booking or an OTA booking. And so Project Second Look is an integrated software platform that's basically easy to activate. It takes you less than 5 minutes to be able to do so. And whether you use RentalGuardian's travel insurance with cancel for any reason, or whether you use any other product in the marketplace, as far as travel insurance goes, you don't have to switch to RentalGuardian to use this program. As long as you're with LiveRes, Streamline, VRM, and iTrip, you can basically flip the switch on Project Second Look and have it send out automated marketing messages to that 75% or more of the folks that said no thank you on the first pass. And so in doing that, you're basically going to get more travel insurance into the hands of your guests to be able to then have less awkward conversations when they call you up and like, oh my gosh, I have COVID, what do I do? And you're like, oh, I don't have a good answer for you. Well, in that particular case, when travel insurance is in place, and they have a legitimate COVID situation, you're able to enforce your cancellation clause, and then they can go to the underwriter and get reimbursed, whether it's through our program or the programs that you provide. You can go to the next slide. And then, of course, it does this by offering custom branded messages, not only by email, but by text message. And this is really a game changer because many of you do business with that entity known as Airbnb. And Airbnb is notorious for not giving you a lot of information to be able to market back to that guest because it's Airbnb's guest, not necessarily your guest. And so in that situation, as soon as you get a way to be able to communicate via text message, maybe a cell phone or something of that nature, you can then have this automated marketing go out to their cell phone and give them this information. But what's cool about it is that it also gives them how much time is left based on the booking and when they made the booking as to how long they have to be able to consider travel insurance. And it's increased people's managers' travel insurance uptake significantly across the clients that are using it. And literally it takes less than 5 minutes to activate. And if you're using one of the other partners in the industry, not a problem. That will be your first pass offer, and then the RentalGuardian program will then be offered to them in a second or third or fourth chance pass based on how you communicate. We can sync that up. We can also brand them, add your logo, make different colors, and speak to regional content as well. So, I mean, this is literally a no-brainer, and it takes 5 minutes. So if you're looking to have more travel insurance and less awkward conversations, talk about Project Second Look, give us a shout, and we can tell you how to turn it on and get it going for you.
Thank you, John. I'll start with one of the questions that we have because it relates to RentalGuardian, but we do have several people who are interested in that customized marketing brochures that you have available. First, is that available to all RentalGuardian clients who use the homeowner protection plan?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Awesome. And then what would be their best avenue on getting a brochure that's branded with their company?
Yes, so reach out to us. You can reach us at sales@rentalguardian.com. Just submit that request there, and then we will get the brochure in place and send it to you in a digital copy. And then if you need some hard copies printed off, we can certainly provide those as well. But for the most part, it's digital, and just need a logo so that way everything looks good and crisp, and we'll get those out to you.
That's wonderful. Another question I have is about email marketing and platforms to use. So Chloe is looking to do some outbound targeted marketing for new homeowners, and they want to keep that in-house for right now. But they're wondering what email platform you recommend for them to kind of start with.
Yeah. Kara, I think you and I might have the same answer, but
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so a great software to use is Campaign Monitor as a great tool that not only helps with building those campaigns like you would want in any general email software, it connects directly to your domain, so it improves and increases deliverability across the board for any emails that you're sending out. So really gets in front of those inboxes and people, and having that domain verification just helps do that.
Awesome. Yep. And there were a few people that asked about RevMAX and being able to plug into there, and Desiree was able to connect with them individually. So I just want to thank everybody. I mean, I want to thank Kara and Ben and John and Desiree for their time today. I want to thank everybody who was able to join us today. I hope that you all got some valuable information. There will be a survey at the end of this webinar, just asking what you thought about the webinar and maybe some future topics that you would like for us to bring. So we invite you to complete that. And then this is recorded. We will be sending a link to everybody that registered. So we hope to have that out to you next week so that you'd be able to, look back at anything that you might have missed or just want to dive back into it and share it with the team. So we look forward to sending those out to you and making some direct contacts with people that have asked for us to connect with you. So we appreciate everyone's time. Thank you so much for our panelists. You guys were amazing. And I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their day.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.